My name's Ian Ward. I'm an editorial intern with the Maine Better Transportation Association. I'm here today with Patrick Brady and Orion Breen, the hosts of MBTA's new interview series. Good morning, guys. How you doing?
Good morning.
Happy to launch your career on the right step with these two fantastic interview candidates.
Great. How does it feel to be on the other side of the camera for this time?
It's a little nerve-wracking.
Yeah, worried about being put on the spot.
So how did you both get involved with MBTA, and what was the genesis of this new project you guys are spearheading?
I've always had a fascination with transportation, and a few events in my life have really sort of crystallized the importance of transportation and infrastructure and the importance that has on everyone's life in every facet of their life. Everybody
hates potholes, right? Everybody supports infrastructure and fixing the roads. If you're Republican or Democrat, it's this bipartisan issue, right, that we all agree on. And yet, we still haven't really figured out a way to work together to come up with some better ways of funding fixing the road. Right now, as Bruce Van Note, the Commissioner of Transportation, has noted that we aren't really investing in our infrastructure. We're merely managing decline. If we can't come together on this, what can we come together on? I think Maine Better Transportation Association is a key organization to bring people together and fix those potholes.
What do you hope to accomplish with this initiative, and why is it important to ask politicians about transportation issues?
Orion, I admit, is the brainchild behind this, and he was, I was fortunate enough for him to ask me if I'd be willing to help him with it, although I don't know how much help I'm really providing.
Patrick actually knows what he's talking about, so that's why I invited him on. I'm not a transportation expert at all, and frankly, I've learned something from every interview we've done, and every time I talk to Patrick, he knows all these different funding models and all these different things like what's an orphan road, and I'm just learning along the way, and that's part of the reason I was interested to do this is to learn.
I mean, we try and keep them light and really just give the viewers an opportunity to get to know these people.
Yeah, I mean, we are in the middle of this pandemic and people aren't knocking on doors and shaking hands and kissing the proverbial baby like they used to. And, we live in this really polarized time. I think this year, even more than previous years, you're going to have people, they're just going to write RRRR or DDDD and not really get to know the local candidates. And that's kind of a shame because in Maine, we have this tradition of we care about ideas more than parties. And I think it's important to preserve that tradition. And even though you might not agree with somebody, I don't agree with people who are in my own party a lot of the time. But even if you don't agree, there's other things you can agree on. And so I think just showing that these people are human beings and they aren't just a label and they have lots of good ideas. Yeah, I think it's been actually really inspiring because these people, they're all doing it because they really care about their communities. They're not really getting paid much and they're putting a tremendous amount of time into running and into being in the legislature and trying to make better rules and laws and fund programs that need it. And they have to listen to people complaining that they're not doing enough, and they deserve a tremendous praise for even putting their name out there.
I would second all that. And certainly, and just asking sort of these lighthearted transportation questions, you actually do get to learn a lot about who these people are. You get the sense that these people are putting their heart and soul and in time into their efforts, and they really do care.
Has the pandemic, which caused you to have to do this video series online instead of in person, has it changed the way you've thought about transportation issues in the state?
For me, it's really crystallized how sort of thin the line is. I mean, we're obviously underfunding it to begin with, but when the COVID-19 hit, travel obviously steeply declined. Infrastructure in general relies so much on the gas tax as well as tolls. And when people aren't driving, there's no, they're not collecting as much tax. And the maintenance is still there. We still need to be making the investment, but the revenue's not coming in. And you start to look at how many large projects are going to just getting pushed now way out into the future because there was just this 6-month drop in revenue that has caused such a long-term, what's going to be a very long-term impact. You realize how thin the line truly is between having enough money and not.
Yeah, I mean, the pandemic is an opportunity to work together, I think. And, when the pandemic first hit, the legislature did come together and they did pass a transportation bond and they did pass a broadband bond. And those things weren't guaranteed to happen. And people just realized, we need to do these things now. We can't just bicker. And the infrastructure is important to invest in now because next year, yeah, we do want the tourists to come back and we want there to be roads that they can drive on when they do.
Have your conversations with these candidates inspired either of you to want to pursue public office in the future? Would you consider it?
Doing these interviews I feel like this is kind of my contribution to getting dialogue started, which is what I believe, we need to do is get dialogue started and work together. But I don't know if I have what it takes. That's part of the reason I'm talking to these people is like, wow, how do they put their name out there and suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune sometimes? It takes a lot of guts and it takes a tremendous amount of time, and I have tremendous admiration for them. So they got to pay more. I think that's totally a key, whether it's city council, town councils not even getting paid, and the state legislators are barely getting paid. And I think it really limits, the young folks who have families or who are starting off in their career trying to juggle all that. It really, you kind of have to helps to be established and be retired or have this cushion of capital in order to do it. But everybody, complains like, oh, we need to cut the salaries of these people in government, but really, I think you do need to pay people in government in order to get the best people in there.
Yeah, likewise. I don't think I have what it takes either. I think
say that, Patrick.
I'm not opinionated enough. I'm always amazed. You talk to any candidate, you hear from any candidate, and especially when we talk to these candidates, they always have something to say on the topic. Or it seems that they do, and they always have opinions on it. And I'm always amazed by that because I'm very fluid where I stand on things. So it seems that in today's polarized age, you've got to be concrete in every issue, everywhere.
Well, I think that's why Patrick should run, because he can actually listen to people, because he doesn't have all these preconceived notions. And I think that's a virtue, Patrick, that you have some things you really care about and you know what you're talking about, and when you're not the expert and you're willing to listen.
I'll take that as a compliment, I suppose. But I think policy would be fun. It would be fun to get involved in policy in some capacity for sure.
Where would you point voters or citizens who are interested in transportation issues? What kind of resources would you suggest?
There's resources out there it's called AASHTO, that really sort of dive into the different funding mechanisms out there, the merits of each.
Go to the Maine Better Transportation Association, call your state rep, go to your town hall meetings, and think about joining a board or a committee in your town. And even if you don't know anything like me, you'll learn a lot. Yeah, I think that's really the first step. Start local.
Do you have a dream interviewee?
Percival Baxter would be cool because he can really talk about how do you get big things done. And I think the parks are a key piece of Maine's infrastructure.
To be able to talk to Angus King, I've crossed paths with him a few times. I would be really interested to hear his down and dirty views on transportation and how to solve some of the challenges that face it.
We'll get him now. He'll hear that and he'll call us up.
Well, thank you both for chatting today, Patrick and Orion. And their new series, Maine Better, is available on the MBTA website. You can check out the past couple episodes and keep an eye out for future ones.